Hello, we've got another tier list today, and I wanted this one to be a little bit different because last time we did loads of creatures, it was a bit long-winded. So I thought today, let's do maps because we all know and love the Ark maps. So let's just get in and rank these things. There's no point in me rambling. Now, first we've got the original, we have got the islands. You really can't demote this thing when it comes to being an Ark map, although there are some things which I think could be better with it, especially with the level balancing. It really doesn't do all too well, but for what it is, I think it will deserve a spot in A tier. I wouldn't give it S. I would be tempted to give it B because it is the first iteration of things, but it started so many things and it got the ball rolling. And like the ice biome and the swamp biome, although how much I hate the swamp biome, it is still a very big part of the game, and it added it and it made the game evolve into what it is today, and I don't think I can demote it anymore. The center is another great map, but actually in my opinion I don't quite like it as much. It progressed the game forward in not being just the island, but I don't really like it as much. It's a little bit boring in my opinion. There's still loads of good things about the map, it's just not really what the island was in the hype. I didn't like it as much back then, and you know, I'm still not all for it these days. Ragnarok is definitely an A tier map, and I would put it above the island. It does things better than what the island did it in, and for that reason I think it deserves to be higher on the list a little bit than the island, because it did what the island did, but essentially better. You've got new creatures like the griffin. The wyverns were already out on Scorched Earth. I'm pretty sure Scorched came before Ragnarok. Imagine if I got that thing wrong. But yeah, the wyverns are on there, and the griffin was new, and you have all of that. And you have the Highlands biome, which made gigas and just general big carnivore spawns so much easier. Ragnarok is a much more convenient map to play than the island, and you can really tell a lot more it goes into it in terms of it being a very well thought out map. The island was the first map, and it just everything got added onto it gradually, and you know, for that it can be a little bit messy, a little bit clumsy. Crystal Isles, a lot of good ideas, but I think it is a B tier map for me compared to the original one. That was obviously the mod. They got rid of loads of things like the rock drakes on it, and there was a really cool extra additional thing with the snow biome. They took out the Tribunators and things like that. There's some really cool creatures on this map, and I can't demote it that much, but I still need to give it a little bit of a markdown, as if it was the original mod version, easily up in A tier, but it's not up in A tier because it's not the original mod version, and it is not really quite as good as that. Ab is our first S tier map. If you know, Aberration is just an insane map. I love it. It's just everything that could make an Ark map good and right in a map. I just truly do enjoy Ab, and the fact that there are no flyers, it really changes the way you think about the game, and I think for that reason it is a really great map because it made you think again, and there are some loads of great creatures in that map. You added the glide suit as well, completely defeating the point of the Archaeopteryx. We got earthquakes, we got more weather events similar to Scorched, continued up the story on very well, and it is truly a great map and a very, very enjoyable one to play. Extinction is another A tier map for me. I can't really put it any higher than the A tier just because it's not what Ab was, okay? It doesn't quite live up to what Ab was as a map. Yeah, you've got the OSDs and you've got some really nice things. It added cryopods and loads of the tech stuff, but that is partly sort of where I would put the downfall of Ark to some extent, as all the tech stuff is not really what the game was originally imagined upon. It was all this primitive stuff going around dinosaurs, and I feel like it sort of defeated the point a little bit to have all this tech stuff, but things like cryopods were extremely useful, and you know, for that I do have to put it in A tier. Genesis Part 1 is, I'm probably going to put it down in C tier. I did really like Genesis 1 when first playing it, and I still do like it as a map. I just don't think it works very well in the Ark franchise. The fact you have to teleport from biome to biome, it's a bit like, it's got the Starfield issue, if you know what I mean, where when you're going around from place to place and, you know, you teleport there through like a loading screen essentially. It's not quite a loading screen, but still you got to teleport from biome to biome. It really breaks up the game, and not in a good way. Doesn't break it into bite-sized chunks, which is nice. It just breaks it into a point where it becomes monotonous. I'd rather just travel there, spend a little longer traveling there than just teleporting there. H&A and all that stuff is nice, and the final boss is a really good one. a good challenge as well, which I do like. But it is a C tier map because of how broken it up it is. Genesis Part 2 follows the A tier selection for me. Gen 2 is a really nice map, and you know, I love Rockwell's Inners, Rockwell's Garden. They're really well designed, well thought out maps in terms of how the art is laid out, and I really do like Gen 2, and some good creatures are on that map, and it has a great cinematic, like visually the final boss fight is great, all the cutscenes are great. Same for Genesis Part 1. There's a lot of good with a map like that, and I really do like it. Fjorda, I haven't actually played much of Fjorda, so I'm going to chuck it above the center in B tier if I can actually do that. While there's some great creatures on Fjorda like the Desmodus, it's sort of like Ragnarok Part 2 to some extent. I know there are loads of differences with it as well, but from what I played of Fjorda, it's not my favorite map, and that's why I haven't played much of it, and it is a very B tier map for me. Valguero is where I'd put this thing a little bit higher, and I just chuck it above the island. I think of it as the island ascended, essentially, to quote the new branding of Ark, I guess. And, you know, I really like just Valguero as a map, and the Deinonychus is probably like my favorite Ark creature out there, so it makes sense why I like Valguero so much. It's got one of my favorite creatures, if not my favorite creature, and it's really good as a map. It's well thought out. There isn't just loads of ocean that I don't care about. There's that big lake in the middle. It's a nice, interesting way to go around things, and I really like Valguero for the map that it is. Lost Island, again, I really haven't played much of, but Cinema Crops is good, so I'm going to put it along with Fjorda in B tier. It's not quite an A tier map because I haven't really played much of it, okay? I don't want to give it the A tier benefit of the doubt, but it's got some good creatures, so I think it falls under the same Fjordil train. I do like the sort of forest nature of it. It is Lost Island after all. The map is very well thought out. If you didn't know though, Scorched Earth is actually one of my favorite maps, and it's gonna top Valguero and Ragnarok for me. It's an unpopular opinion, I know, hashtag unpopular opinion, but I feel like Scorched Earth needs to go here for me. I really like the Wyverns when it added all of that. The Mantis, such a great creature. I like how the map is laid out. I like the caves on this thing. The boss is an easy cheese, and it is one of the only flying bosses. It is nice how it works. It's great. It's got good balance, and it is a reasonably difficult map to survive on. I always go by green ob when I build a base because that's just where the water is, but I like all the biome sort of changes within the desert theme. It changes it up quite a lot, and I like what Scorched Earth did, and every time I play it, I still really enjoy it. It's why when I did my 10 days Ark series, I know it's a bit of a 100 days cop-out, but I did it on Scorched Earth because it is my favourite map, and also I was going to do it on Scorched Earth Ended, but that did not come out in time. And in terms of Ark Survival Evolved, it's an S tier game. Ark is my favourite game, if you didn't know, and I really do like Ark for all that it offers. So we've got to check out there. Not really a map, but it's all of it in broad spectrum. Now, just as a quick thing, all the ASA stuff. Ark Survival Ascended first up. We'll save that one for the end, and we'll start... Oh no, these are just all the maps. We're going to include Ascended and the island in this one, and I'm sorry, it is a C tier map. It goes below Genesis Part 1 for me because there are loads of floating rocks and defects. The game is also just a bit all over the place. I'm including the game sort of with this one, like Ark Survival Evolved, I'm including there. Obviously, I know there's separate ones, but still, the island is not still in a great state, and also there's just loads of things wrong with it visually, and the new terrain to some extent does limit the use of some of the creatures like this Tyler. It's a lot harder to get around, I found, on mountainous regions. Again, obviously, I've played a lot more of all the Survival Evolved maps because I'm still really a Survival Evolved player, but the island really didn't do it for me. Same for Scorched Earth, although I will put it a little bit higher. Actually, I'm going to chuck it top of C tier. Sorry, because the third cave, the church, they completely changed the design of it, and now it's sort of just like a concrete box as opposed to all the art you get in the original game. They cut a lot of detail out of the maps, and for that, I don't really like what they did there. In terms of the center, it was a perfectly good run. I'll put it next to the center on ASE because I think it's really the same thing. For me, there aren't really many differences between these two maps. They're pretty much the same. The Ascended one does look better. It is slightly higher ranking for me, but I'd put them about the same. And Ab Ascended is definitely not where it is on there, but I will chuck it. I will chuck it just behind Genesis Part 2. It doesn't live up to this one because of all those ASA bugs, glitches, and whatnot. So it's not quite the one for me. I'm not the biggest ASA fan to rant on about it then and then. But this is my final tier list, which you can see on screen. If you don't agree with this, then comment down below, because sadly, this is the end of the video, and this is why I'm going to tell you to comment down below. Do you agree with my tier list? How would you do the tier list? If you want, you can do this exact tier list. I'll probably link in the description for this tier list, and then you can do it, and then just send me the link, and then I can see what your list is. Well, obviously you know what my list is. I want to hear your thoughts. I've got a Patreon as well. There'll be an Ark Let's Play series coming there soon, and I hope that you had a good time watching this video. If you have, then you've done well. My camera's died. I think I'm going to end it here. Now, of course, we must shout out our patrons, Ekaterina Pechkova and Karina Thorne, who are our paid Patreon members at the moment. Thank you for all your support. I really appreciate everyone on this list. Everyone else is, of course, free members. Thanks for the support, though.